everybody. Welcome back to Boom X Beauty Beat. I am so thrilled and excited to have the wonderful Melody Ann Owen here today. She also has a YouTube channel, so we're sisters that way. And her YouTube channel is called Author Nation. And I definitely want you guys to go and check it out. What she's doing is not ordinary. It's extraordinary. Melody, I mean, so many people think to themselves, you know, I should write a book, or a friend tells you, you should write a book, or la, la. But who ends up doing it? We just don't know where to start a lot of times. We don't know what to do. I actually did write a book. I'll tell you about it later. But it's a process, but boy, what an extraordinary one. If I could have only had somebody like you to help me when I wrote mine, it would have been so much better. So I just want to say welcome. We've got so much to talk about.
Yes, well, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. Don't you think everybody has a book inside them? I mean, everybody does, don't they?
I think that every person is a library of stories.
Right.
Whatever they want to do with that library of stories, you know, write a book to share it with friends and family, put it out into the world, keep it to themselves. I think we're all a library of stories. So I think we could all come up with something to share with the world that is valuable. So absolutely. Yes. However we want to share that in a book, in oral storytelling, in, you know, visiting schools and sharing lessons, whatever form that takes.
Yes, and I think that, you know, we often believe that, you know, writing a book is a commercial endeavor, but it definitely doesn't have to be that. So if you've never considered yourself like an author, I really love the idea of a legacy book, or people call it a memoir, or I call it a legacy book. I don't know why. Just because, you know, we're all here temporarily. It's so great to write something that can be passed down, that, you know, you can read about grandma or whatever. I think it'd be such a great thing. But let's just first start back to you and how it began for you. I was reading a little bit of your bio, and I guess stories got you and they fascinated you. Do you remember like the stories that first began that really caught your attention? Do you remember who was telling them and what was happening there?
So I've always loved stories in general, but the stories that really sat with me were the stories I was told about myself as a child. You know, what the teachers and my parents and the people around me told me who I was by, you know, telling my stories to me. And where story became really powerful for me is in me realizing it's like, look, that's their story about me. What if I retell that story from my perspective, putting me in the position that I see myself in, and that's what I did. And so for me, story started out in some ways as a way of escape as a child, and then as a form of therapy growing up and in my young adulthood, in order to kind of surpass the trauma of childhood, of the stories I'd been told about myself, so that I could come out as a full human being, full adult, and move forward and let go of that old story that I shouldn't be owning. And that's one of the, you know, that's a big reason to write a book, not for publication, but like to heal yourself. It's like, look, I'm going to write the story, like, this is what I was told about myself, this is what teachers, this is what everyone says, and this is my perspective. I'm going to tell it from this angle. This is my angle. I'm going to do a retelling, and I'm going to own it. All the bad things I did, all the good things that I did, the things that happened to me that I had no control over. So that's what I did. And so that culminated in a memoir, which is in final stages, and a solo show that I performed in 2019. And so that's where storytelling can take us.
You mean on stage? You were on stage.
On stage, yes.
Wow.
So storytelling for healing is, I think, vital for many of us who've suffered trauma or heartbreak, or, you know, lost a job. So fixing that.
A lot of people doing doing that right now. And, with our last year that we've had, definitely people are finding time they didn't know they had either, that they could actually ever afford the time to write something. So can you tell me how in your life, like have you done this always as a career, or have you graduated through different careers to get to what you're doing now? And what would you call what you are?
So I say I'm a storyteller, story teacher, story coach. I do story workshops. I work one-on-one with storytellers, authors, performers, entrepreneurs, helping them shape their story and to tell stories that matter. And no, this is not what I've always done. I didn't know this was a job when I went into university. When university, I did professional writing, linguistics, literature, and then from there I went to Japan and then Peru, and I was teaching English around the world. And then I came back and ran an English school here, and then I jumped out and started my own business, just communications, consulting, writing, because I've been teaching communication and writing to students and business people, throughout the world.
Yes.
I started my own company, and then it slowly shifted and shifted and shifted as my passions changed and grew, and this is what it's grown into.
My daughter is doing that now. She's just turning 23 next month and finishing her university, and she gets up at 3 or 4 in the morning to teach children in Asia English online, and it's adorable. Her little bears that she holds up and just everything is just so cute. Anyway, so let's just talk about, now I love all the P's that we got to put into this, okay? So first of all, we have to do planning of the book, producing the book, publishing the book, promoting the book. There's so many things we have to do. But like I said, I think that we all have stories, and we all have books inside of multiple books probably. And basically let's talk about the different types of books that there are, just to clarify a few, because I think it can get a little confusing.
Yeah. So when we're talking about personal stories, I think you can write a book, you can write a story, a full story, and keep it to yourself, and it's for the purpose of healing, not something that you necessarily want to share. In fact, that was the first thing I did. I wrote my story from a healing perspective. It allowed me to, play the victim and play this role and play, just like get out all that stuff. Yeah. And I gave that to a family member or two and let them read it. And then I just sat on it. And then from that, I started telling, because I like to tell stories, I started
Wait, Melody, you gave it to your family members to read how did they react to that?
Well, I only gave it to one or two, just kind of those safe family members. Yeah. And they were just interested in my perspective,
Good. Okay.
And
sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. And what I wrote was about me, right? So that's one type of book you can write, and that's this is my personal book. I'm keeping it. But then mine turned into, I'm going to publish it as a memoir. So that's the other thing you can do. You can publish it as a memoir. Okay. The other thing you can do is you can do an autobiography, which is slightly different, right? These are the facts, more or less. You can also do autofiction. And my book might land up being autofiction. It's another form of creative nonfiction where you take your story, your memoir, but you fictionalize it. Sometimes you do it to protect people, characters. Sometimes you do it because you don't want your exact story out there. You just want to take the idea of the story. And so it's based, based on a true story, right? Yeah. So you can do that as well. Okay. So you can do a legacy book, as you say. It's writing a book about your family, kind of like to create a history bank for your family. That's the legacy part, so that you can share that down and other people can add to it, and then you can have a volume of books written by different family members about family history. So there's lots of ways you can look at personal storytelling and create books out of it, right? So books for yourself for healing, books for family to create a history bank, a memoir, which must be true, an autobiography, which is a little bit more like these are all the facts of my life. And then there's autofiction or creative nonfiction, which is like based on a true story. So there's lots of options.
Yes. Now, we have a lot of female entrepreneurs watching this as well. What can they do also for their business to write a book? Can we talk about that a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. So storytelling in business is really important. And I'm going to just say writing a book is one thing, but I'm just going to back up just a little bit. Because what I've noticed when I work with entrepreneurs in story is that they continue to try to tell their story over and over and over again. They'll go to networking groups and they'll start with, I do, and they tell their story. And what I suggest people do is turn that around. Start telling customer stories. Put your customer in the place of that main character, that hero, that person who succeeds. And when you do that and you start telling those stories, potential clients will go, oh, wow, she helped that person live that story. I want to live that story too. I'm going to go work with her. That's even stronger than telling your own story.
Yes.
And so when you're thinking about writing a book for your business, start thinking about where's that gap between, you know, what clients want to know and what they need to know, like where are they right now? Where do they want to be? And what's that gap? And fill that gap up with success stories, customer success stories, step-by-step how-tos, advice, philosophies, you know, all of that stuff. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. How are you finding also your YouTube journey? Has that been interesting?
Yes, that's been really interesting. I've been running a group for authors for years, and I've always wanted to take all the knowledge that I've, you know, gained and all that work that I've done with authors and put it together in a place where people can access it. And I always had this idea of YouTube channel, and then when COVID hit, I thought, okay, Melody. Yeah. Now's the time. And so I fumbled around with myself for a while, and then I hired a couple of YouTube consultants who you know, set me on the straight and narrow. And as soon as I did that, boom, the channel's there. I'm publishing twice a week. I've got systems worked out, you know, so sometimes part of your story is I needed to reach out for help. And I found, you mean
there's a YouTube consultant thing too? I didn't know. I just been rolling with it. I have no idea. I didn't even know what a hashtag was when I started this whole thing. I'm telling you, it's quite the thing. Now, you, in your travels, you must have experienced a lot. You went to Asia, like you said. You were, tell me some of the places you've been again. A lot.
So I lived and worked in Japan. And then after that, I moved to Peru. And I lived and worked in Peru for a few years. And I traveled to Chile and Ecuador and Bolivia while I was in Peru. And so I worked in the region. I taught at a university for a little while, and then I worked for Oxford University Press, and I traveled and did the conference circuit and the customer support and public relations for them. And
do you speak more than one language as well?
Sí, señora, yo hablo español. I speak Spanish as well, but I speak street Spanish because I had to learn it when I lived in Peru. I took, I think, 2 semesters of it in university and thought, oh, I'll never learn this language. And then I went to Peru and it's like, look, learn or die.
You know, the reason I'm asking is I seem to be amassing a heck of a Spanish-speaking audience. I don't know if it's because of the dark curly hair or what's going on. Yeah. So we can tell them, maybe you could tell them that you speak Spanish and that you can help if they don't speak very much English, because that might be another thing for you. Is there's a lot of people in other countries, especially Spanish-speaking. They're writing me comments in Spanish, and I have to like translate everything.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Bueno, yo hablo español si necesitan ayuda.
Hey, there you go.
Spanish if you need help.
There you go. Exactly. So can you tell me a little bit about how writing books has changed over the last 10 years? I wrote my book about, well, it's been, about 10 years ago. And, you know, it was like when the writing your own book and publishing it yourself was sort of just bubbling. It wasn't really a big thing yet. And I wrote mine as a manual on makeup artistry called Face It. And it was just really all of the teachings that I did in makeup over like I've had a 25-year career. So it was, I remember sitting down, and it took, I don't know, something like 8 months to a year. I didn't know what I was doing. I had my brother's wife who had a PhD edit it for me. And then I had to hire a company to do like some, you know, I paid them a little bit of money to, you know, finesse it and finalize it and make it shiny and do some promotion. But, you know, it really is confusing as to what the best route to go now. Can you tell me what it's like now in the modern day, 10 years later?
Absolutely. Well, we still have agents, and their job is to help you find a publisher and get the best deal that you can get. We still have traditional publishing. We have large publishers. They have smaller imprints or smaller, kind of more dedicated niche publishing houses. We have a number of small publishing houses now. They're often niche. They'll just do one or two very narrow genres. And then we have self-publishing. And so self-publishing, I'll break it down into vanity publishing. So I've written a story about my family. I want to publish 5 books and give it to all my children. Vanity publishing. And then there's indie publishing. And that is when you are an individual who wants to have your own imprint and publish on your own series of books, or one book or 10 or 60, it doesn't matter. And then we also now have hybrid publishers, and they're a little bit in between the traditional publisher and the self-publishing. So different hybrid publishers will offer different services. Some of them will offer like the editing and the cover, others will offer help distribution and promotion. And so as an author, as a new author, your job now is to figure out, what is my skill set? What can I do? What am I good at? Am I good at writing the book? Am I good at, am I an artist? Am I good at doing the cover? Am I great at marketing, but I can't edit? Or, you know, just figuring out what you can and cannot do, and hiring out the right people, finding either a traditional publisher or a hybrid publisher, or building your own team to help you with those tasks that you are not good at. And there's certain things that I think that no matter how good you are, you should get help. I'm an editor, and I don't edit my own work because you get so close to it.
Yeah.
And if you're an illustrator, illustrating your book is a great idea, but at least get feedback from someone who has more distance than you do, right? So sometimes we're so close to something, even when we have a skill set, we still shouldn't necessarily be the final decision maker, and we need to get input and feedback from others.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
There's a realm of possibilities for people for publishing right now.
Totally. I don't think people realize all the benefits that you get out of the process itself of doing it. What do you think are some of them? I know some of the ones I'm thinking of, but what do you think are some benefits that you just get for your life for doing this kind of thing?
Yeah. So if you're an entrepreneur, writing a book to your clients makes you really think about what you offer, how you offer it, how you explain it to people, how you connect with them. Because with a book, it's not one-on-one where it's like, oh, you see facial expressions, you see what's going on, and you can backtrack and try to explain and answer a question. You have to do all that work up front when you write a book. And so if you have an idea, or if you're in an industry and you want to for your own self, become an expert and really understand how to articulate your thoughts well, forcing yourself to write it into a book is an excellent way to do that.
It's an insane amount of focus. So you really hone, it's actually, you probably connect the synapses in your brain or something happens. You just have to really focus. And we don't do a lot of things where we're so laser focused like that. We're often we're on our phone, we're this, we're that, we've got everything happening. This really helps your brain to control itself and to focus in. It's amazing, amazing exercise for your brain.
Yes, and think about your reader.
Yes.
Right? And think
Yes.
about the audience, put yourself in their shoes, and become a better writer overall. People say, oh, I'm not born with it. It's like, no, it's not that you're born with it. This is, you can develop it. Write a book. Trust me, write a book and work at it. You will be a much better writer at the end of it. It's a huge learning curve, both in your industry, on how to connect with others, and self-development as well.
It's just like anything, like if you're not a fitness expert, but you can get yourself in a lot better shape. Same thing with book writing. Like if you're totally out of shape, never done it, of course it's going to be a little bit of a road, but it's the journey too that's kind of exciting. So taking that, that journey on. Have you had anybody that you've worked with that has gone on to do real well with this? Or I don't want to say real well, because probably everyone has, but anybody that you know of that actually has made something from their book experience and now is doing something with it?
Oh, absolutely. I've worked with professionals who've integrated into their business, who have become speakers. I've worked with authors who want a publishing deal and want advances, and we've written proposals, and that's come through. Not always. I've a couple that it didn't work out, but if you want to get a publishing deal and you have the right book and the right qualifications to be an author of that book, that's possible too. So there are lots, depending on the outcome. And people who want to write a book and want to build it into their business and like figure out how to promote it in a way that helps the business. And part of that is how you write it and what you put, especially in the front of the book.
Right.
The front of the book's really important these days, because that's what people see when they open it up on Amazon and other online retailers, right?
Yes.
And so
yes.
like helping people with all of those pieces, there are lots of outcomes you can get. And depending on the author, each author wants a different outcome. And then my job is to help them figure out, how to get to that outcome by writing a book and then promoting it.
Yes, I have had the great fortune of speaking to some women on my channel who have written books and have experienced them being on the top on Amazon, and just, speaking to them is such a pleasure. And Marilyn is one of them. Marilyn Wealth, yes, and she is just, I was so nervous to talk to her, I've got to tell you. She just blew my mind. She's interviewed so many people as well, so it makes you, more nervous, especially that, this is not something I've done forever. I'm newer at it. But, even interacting with these people. So when a person works with you, I know we're in COVID right now. Is there any interacting with other authors or not really? Like just with you or?
There's one-on-one with me. There's the YouTube channel. So for example, Marilyn was a guest on my YouTube channel. She gave so much information. It was phenomenal. I also have a Facebook group. So people who want to connect with other authors can join that Facebook group.
Great.
They can hang out with other authors there, ask questions. Sometimes people put up 2 or 3 covers and say, what do you think? And get feedback. So depending on what level of connection you want, that's something we can figure out.
Well, you're just like the gateway key. You just, just. So now, so all the services that you offer, it sounds like you just basically, all you got to do is want it, connect with you, and you'll figure it out with them. Whether it be, do you do Zoom lessons or how does that work?
Yes, I work one-on-one on Zoom. We edit together. I write. I do coaching as well. So I had one author, she was a doctor and she'd written, like 80% of the book, and then she just got stuck. It's like, I'm just stuck.
Writer's block, that writer's block.
Yeah, she wasn't quite sure, like what order should the book be in? And, I've got these 2 more chapters left to go and I'm just feeling exhausted. And the motivation is hard. And so we worked together. We finished those last 2 chapters. We reorganized the book. We edited the book. We revised it, edited it, created a publishing proposal, sent it off, and she got a deal and an advance for the book. And so yeah, and so I let go there. I didn't, once she had the publishing deal, then they're doing the promotion, they're doing everything else.
Yes.
I don't do the publishing, so I would refer you out to somebody for that. That's not a service I offer. I'm more of a writing coach. I do the developmental and the stylistic editing. And when I'm doing that, I help you position your book properly for promotion to fit it into your business. And I help you understand how you're writing a book that will fit into a promotion plan later.
Yes. Okay. And because you've done some stage stuff, do you also help writing scripts or anything like that, or not really?
Well, I do work with performers and entrepreneurs and other storytellers and just the general public, documentarians, filmmakers, when they want to develop their story skills. So yes. I do one-on-one coaching, and I do story workshops as well. So anyone who's interested in just developing their story skills can join some of my story workshops.
Melody, can you imagine, we're having this conversation right now. Somebody watches this video, they get an idea, they write something, and it's the next, Aaron Brockovich story or something. Can you imagine? I mean, it's anything is possible, anything. And
that's amazing.
My gosh, would that ever be something else if that happened? It's just a matter of doing it.
And if it does, tell us, because we want to know.
Yeah. Make sure you tell us. Oh my gosh. This is so exciting. Like, nothing is more exciting than this. The distance between something amazing happening to your life is just making a plan, Sam, and making it happen.
Yes.
And, quit sitting on the fence about it and wondering what if. Just start. All they have to do is go to your website, which is melanieannowen.com. That's right. Yeah. And sign up with you, sign up for the Facebook group, get involved. Don't worry about what you're going to write exactly right now. Just get moving.
Yes.
Contact you. Now you've got a coach that you can help.
And that's actually great advice, what you just said. Don't think about don't think about the whole book. Just get writing. So when I wrote my memoir, I just got writing, and I started listing out all different story ideas, good ones, bad ones. They were just personal to me. And every day I would look at the list of stories, I'd pick one and I'd start writing. I just start typing away. I wouldn't think about whether the sentence was right, the grammar was right, the word was right, the story was right, the good ending, bad ending, nothing. I would just start writing. And as I started writing, more stories came up. So I'd go over and I'd add more stories to the list.
Yes.
And this went on and on and on. And then after all that happened, then it became a show and a book. But don't even think about who cares what the outcome is? Just start writing, start exploring yourself.
Yes. And yes. Oh my gosh.
That happened. Yeah.
And you mentioned that you've got a memoir on the cooker?
I've got a memoir on the cooker. I do.
When's that? When do you think that's going to bubble up?
Oh, wow. I've been so busy. It's just been sitting on a back burner currently.
You're helping everybody else.
It's going to take me 5 years to write this darn book. No, I'm in the final stages of editing. And I would love to see it published by the end of this year.
Yeah.
And the working title is The Devil's Daughter. I don't know. Yeah, that was my title.
That was my book, because that's my father. I'm just kidding.
I don't know what the final title will be, but that's the working title. And that's the other thing. Have a working title that just says something to you. That's positive, or, speaks to you, or inspires you, or motivates you, or makes you angry, or whatever it does to get you writing. That
just makes me want to pick up your book, that title. I don't even know what it's about, but I kind of, it just makes me want to read it immediately. So basically, when you get that finished, will you come back on the show and talk about it?
I'd love to.
That would be so great. Yeah. Okay, well, everybody, again, I'll have everything posted below, all Melody stuff, and make sure you guys go check out her channel. This is a gold, you guys. To get even any help on this, I wish I would have had your help. Thank you so much for being here. Did I forget anything?
If they want free help, they can go, if you'll put Marilyn's blog in the description, they can go there and enter the contest, because I'm giving away some of my time. So
oh my gosh, the
email.
contest. I almost forgot the contest.
Yeah,
You guys, she is doing a contest. Can you just give the specifications on that?
yes, you can go to, it's on oliobymarilyn.com, and if you'll put that in the description, I'll make sure you have the link. You go there, you check out my Author Nation channel, you sign up, you subscribe to my Instagram, you send me an email, all the information's in the blog post, and you are entered into winning some time with me, and we can talk about whatever you want: storytelling, writing, authorship, publishing, planning, whatever you want to talk about, that will be your time.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine that one decision could change the course of your life? So get on it, people. Get on it. And that is so generous of you to do about the contest. That's amazing. I'll make sure that I post everything below so you guys can link into everything. And please stay connected. I want to hear how it's going, with everything in the upcoming days. So thank you so much for being here. It was awesome having you.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun.
Cool. All right. Bye, you guys. I hope you have a great day.
Yes.
Check out Melody. Ciao.